typical of the World Wide Web. So it's Cypher Sigma, it's the weekend, and then we have a movie review, and you already know, and you can see from this is A Quiet Place Day 1. So this is the third movie in the kind of Quiet Place world, so to speak, but this movie goes back to essentially the first and a little bit of the second movie, where we get to see kind of the events of the alien invasion, so to speak. I don't think I'm giving that much away. This movie is directed by Michael Sarnoski. The only thing I kind of know, I think this is his 8th movie. The one before it was Pig, obviously starring Nicolas Cage, which I thought was a really, really good movie. So, I give the guy some praise. He's going into this, I think, a strong previous movie. A very small cast. We have Lupita Nyong'o as Samira or Sam, Joseph Quinn from his kind of breakthrough role in Stranger Things as Eric, and then kind of the two other characters that kind of feature Alex Wolff as Ruben. He is in it for a small period, and then obviously Jimon Huso, who's Henry, who's from the second movie. Apologies if I've butchered that person's name. Some people have seen the trailer, and this is day one. This is Sam or Samira. In America. It's filmed parts in London, that's why I say that. And obviously then all these aliens come down and they start basically killing people. As you see, they blow up the bridges, and then it's people trying to escape and dealing with what is going on. The movie is just over an hour and 40 minutes. There's nothing after the credits or after the scenes. It basically gets to the end of the movie there. John Krasinski, who did direct and write 1 and write 2, has a writing credit in this one, so we know at least there is somebody keeping the world together or grounded. And yeah, I was looking forward to this. I did like 1 and 2. I think they were both good movies in their own right. It's a very interesting concept, and for me, it's the one thing I praise John Krasinski on. I've not seen The Office or anything, but yeah, that is the story of it. Whether they get out or not is to be seen. Obviously, as I mentioned, the one guy, obviously Henry, he is in the later movie, so he survives, but he doesn't have the massive bit of role. So let's put the spoiler warning up on the screen and let's get into it. So we shall start. And I must admit, this was the first surprising thing. So as you see in the trailer, you see the attack. This movie actually starts slightly before the attack even happens. So you go to a medical facility and you have Samira here. She's in a group, and you find out that she has some sort of cancer or some sort of disease. You assume it's cancer and stuff like this, but yeah, she is not a well person, unfortunately. Ruben, who is kind of a nurse there, he ropes her into going to this puppet show that is in the centre of New York, on the proviso that she gets some pizza. So they go along to this show. She doesn't realise it's a puppet show. And it's very, very good. The puppet is done very well, and it has a few integral moments that kind of bring you into reality. Obviously, Samira, she also has a little cat. I think his name is Toby. He is like a comfort animal. Just to keep the cat does feature here and there. So they go into it, part of the way through it. Samira is kind of shocked by the puppetry and obviously brings up notions of something. So she leaves. As she leaves and walks around, she sees Ruben, who's on a call, who's basically saying we need to get back to their care facility, which I assume is outside of the New York area. As all the people get on the bus and they start to drive away, all the patients go to the back of the bus, look up, and then this is when Samira kind of gets up, and then there's a massive explosion, there's dust everywhere, and this starts the invasion, but it starts it in a way that she gets up, she crawls around, there's dust, there's dirt, she can kind of hear voices and something like that, and then there is an explosion and she gets knocked out. This is when she wakes up. She's inside the theatre that was obviously doing the puppet show, and Henry is basically there. As he leads around, she bumps into Ruben and obviously finds that people are there, and then this is where you realise there's these creatures outside. The cat does try to escape and almost triggers one of the monsters getting them, but luckily it doesn't, and this is where they realise obviously they have to be quiet. Sound is the key for this. And this is kind of how the first little bit of the movie goes. Obviously, they're all kind of thrown into a world of chaos of what to do or something. Then, unfortunately, a motor gets really, really noisy. Ruben goes to get it, manages to stop the engine, but unfortunately rips his coat as he goes to pull away, and unfortunately he is killed quite early on. I said it's a spoiler review, unfortunately, we're giving it. This leads to Sam or Samira deciding that basically she wants to get pizza. That's her emphasis. So she goes off walking in between. You do have helicopters randomly coming through, explain a little bit that, you know, they're under attack, get to water, they can't swim and all this stuff. At this point, as the helicopters lay, kind of all these creatures are massive herding away. You don't get to see how many are there, but it must be, I imagine, 100 or so of them. So it's quite a lot. Herds them away, and then all these people come out that have been hiding, that haven't been killed, and start walking towards what we assume is water, where Samira decides to go the other way. Unfortunately, one of the creatures, if not more, are kind of waiting for this, because there's so many people walking and the noise of their feet on the rubble and everything. It sets off a massive attack and loads of people are getting killed. This is where Samira kind of breaks away from everyone else. She's already walking in the other direction. It's at this point that you then are introduced to the character of Eric. So he comes out from a train station that was full of water. You don't kind of know how he got there. He then sees the cat and follows the cat back to Samira, and this is kind of where they have their connection. Samira's going off on her own journey, but Eric ends up tagging along because he's kind of in shock, doesn't know what to do. And then due to it raining and set events, they then go back to her apartment, because obviously she is a cancer patient, she needs drugs, and that's what she goes. They kind of have a converse while it's raining, because they can talk and act and move around without the creatures finding them. In the morning, Samira sets off before Eric is even up, and she's trying to get to this pizza place because she wants pizza, because that's what she's there. And obviously, unfortunately, being a cancer patient, there isn't much to live for. Eric wakes up later and manages to find or catch up with her, because she left a notepad, because she's a writer, and obviously there are points about her dad. This leads then these two characters kind of heading their way back to this Bronxy area where this pizza place is. Unfortunately, when they get there, it's burnt down. I'm missing bits out here, so there is a lot more to it. So they go to this pub and have a drink, and Eric manages to find some pizza and stuff like that, and they kind of have a little kind of quiet interaction where he shows her a magic trick and stuff like this. At the end, after this, all they can see that there is a boat out on the river, and obviously all these creatures are then on the pier and the beach waiting to get to them, but they can't because of water. So these two make it to just near the pier, and then this is when Sam decides that she will basically throw her life away, whatever life that would be, so Eric and her cat can get away. She causes a distraction. Eric and that manages to make it in the water, and he survives, and we would assume from that he is on the island in the second movie, even though we never get to see him. During all this, as he's running towards the beach, he unfortunately causes noise, and all the creatures that were going for Samira turn around and actually head for him. So Samira kind of makes it alive by the end of this battle, and then you kind of have, she sets herself in a position that basically means she's going to die, and the closing scene is her putting a headphone plug out of an MP3 speaker, and a creature jumping down behind her, and then it falls to black and you never get to see anything. So what did I think of this movie? Now, I did really like this movie. I am going to say that it is going to get a good rating. One thing I have to kind of work off, it's based in kind of reality, but it's obviously a story of fiction because it's aliens, even though aliens probably do exist and stuff, but like the sound and everything, because there's a lot of, if you think that because there's a lot of sound, and because there's a lot of sound and stuff going on, and it's even like, you know, you go to the toilet or something like that would make so much noise that it would kind of trigger these off. And it's quite good at the very beginning. It tells you that there's so much noise from New York that it's like a constant scream all the time, which makes sense why they're kind of the creatures. landed there, and that's why they are, you know, triggered by sound and something like that. Obviously, they have a cat with them now. There's no animal in its right mind that wouldn't hiss or that, and it meows at the very beginning and doesn't make any noise. Like, so there's a few little bits like that. You just have to switch your brain off. I don't think you can really class them as, you know, the cat is a crucial part of the story. And they're saying it goes off on its own one bit, and Eric has to get him back and almost kill. It ends up dying and stuff. And there's a few little bits like stupid. Like, I'm always one of these people like, why do people put stupid stuff in there? Because realistically, they wouldn't be in that situation. But apart from that, it was very much a surprise. The opening scene of learning about Samira and that she's, you know, they've hidden this all from the trailer, that she's ill and this stuff, and I think that's quite good. The interaction of these two characters and them having stress and everything else and anxiety and little bits that they come across was great. I can't remember who the lad's name is now. Joseph Quinn. He was brilliant. It's good to see him outside of the role that I already knew he was going to die from Stranger Things, and apologies if I've spoiled that for you. And Lupita Nyong'o, she was great as well. I thought these was a very good casting, and you know, it is like they're imperfect people in an imperfect world, and it fits, and obviously chaos goes well, and it was kind of a different avenue. You know, you have had the farm and you have had the island, and now you have like a city, and there was so much to play with, and stuff like this, and it was enough to keep you going throughout all of the story. I said, so I'm going to give this a 7.2. I wouldn't say it's as good as the first one, because obviously this is the problem where you have a continuation of a story or a theme. Sometimes it's never as good as the first one, but as a prequel movie to it, I thought it was actually really, really great. I thought it's well done. It shows that I think John Krasinski was right in it, because obviously it keeps him there, and just the right actors and actresses. You know, I said it's such a small cast, but it is done so well, and I'm very intrigued to where they go with this story. I mean, I'm hoping they do to be honest, I'd hope we get a finish off on the story. You know, I feel like there's still more story to go. I kind of am very curious as well as if we will ever get to a point whereas it will go from kind of horror to space, and we will get to learn where these creatures are from, and you know, and maybe there is another story, space story, that sets it off of how they actually get to Earth. Maybe something has triggered them to come here. Who knows? But anyway, that has been my review of The Quiet Place Day 1. Have you seen this movie? Let me know your thoughts and feelings down below. Otherwise, I've been Cypher Single Screen Time, and I shall see you in the next one.